Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to Faith Seeking Understanding. I am Alan Bevere, your host. I'm a pastor, retired, a professor, a Bible moth, a theologian in exile, and a peddler of hope. And I am the self-appointed Anselm of Canterbury Chair of Podcast Theology and Culture here at Faith Seeking Understanding University, a completely fabricated institution of higher learning, but where all seekers are invited to ponder profound things. And my friend, uh, probably shouldn't say my friend in crime because there's a lot of crime going on right now, and we don't want to get caught up
Exactly.
into it. My friend, Michael Cruz, who is the Grand Poobah Chair of Economics and Public Theology here at FSU. And Michael, I don't know what's going on in Missouri where you are, but in Ohio, winter is giving us whiplash. We had
Yep.
75 degrees 2 days ago. I was sitting out on my deck enjoying it. And then yesterday, it was still pretty warm and rained all day long. And last night the wind came through and now it's in the 40s.
Yes.
So,
Ours, I think ours was possibly even more dramatic. We had a date. What was it? Where are we? Thursday? It must have been Tuesday. I think it was 86 degrees in the afternoon. And
holy
then
cow.
I got up in the morning to go play pickleball and it was below 40.
Really?
So it just, and that like included lots of wind and storms and all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
moving.
Well,
Yeah. It's
that
just crazy.
non-existent climate change is sure
Yeah.
wreaking havoc. Yeah. So, but anyway, hey, baseball's coming. We're in the
It
midst of
is.
spring training, and next month is opening day. And
Yep.
I live where I live now. I mean, we moved this last summer, so now I'm 2 hours from Cleveland. So I will not be going to as many games because of
Yeah.
just the drive. But I will be going up there a couple, three times. And what Kara and I like to do is go up for like a couple of nights. And we go
Right.
to a game, and we also go to Playhouse Square, which is Cleveland's theater district, which is, after New York City, the largest theater district in the country.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes, and it's an excellent place to go see a good drama, production, play, musical, whatever. So that's
Yeah,
what we'll do. But anyway,
very
how far
cool.
are you?
Yeah.
How far are you from Royal Stadium?
15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, good
Yeah.
grief. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
real close. All
Yeah,
right, good
exactly.
deal.
Yeah.
And you'll be hitting a
I
few
could
of those this year, I'm sure.
I've told people I said I can walk out the front door of my house, drive to Royal Stadium, get in the parking lot and be inside the stadium compound in less than 30 minutes.
Oh
So,
man.
it, it's nice.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
good for you. Well, anyway, all right. So our conversation today is on the Epstein Files.
Yeah.
I know that there is a certain person who wants to distract from them, so that's why in our little corner of the world we're going to talk about them.
Right.
Um, the Epstein Files. Don't know anyone who doesn't know about it, but it's Jeffrey Epstein, the very wealthy financier who ran a what almost looks to be a global pedophile ring, um, and lots of famous people in it, and were involved in, and sadly, a lot of children, um,
Yeah.
females, were groomed uh, to to do things we're not even going to talk about.
Right.
Um, but we need to talk about it, and we're going to talk a little bit too about how power and wealth, I mean, I just think there's a reason why the Bible warns about this, and
Right. Yes.
on more
Right.
than one occasion. And
Yeah.
so we want to have that. So, but this the Jeffrey the just a quick little history. The investigation starts in 2005 when the local police down there in Florida are told that Epstein is using underage girls for sexual matters, and so they investigate. So there's this investigation, um, and it seems to be quickly. It's not covered up at this point so much
No.
as he really gets off easy, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the federal attorney, he gets to plead to some lesser charge, and he gets a few months in prison and work release. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure at the time the attorney general in Florida was Pam Bondi. So,
Hmm.
just
Not
make
sure
of
of that.
that what
That's
you
interesting.
want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and so he basically gets off, and but that's not the end of it because people keep saying, "Look, there's stuff happening here. People are guilty. There are lots of victims. We need to bring it out." So what we've had, particularly in the age of Donald Trump now, we had particularly a lot of MAGA folks, QAnon,
Hmm.
conspiracy
Right.
theorists talking about a global pedophile ring run by Democrats, run by the
Right.
Democratic Party. Um, it seems pretty clear that this pedophile ring was global. So at least they were right in that. But a lot of them have been very quiet since Donald Trump's name has come up
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
And look at there are probably people of other political persuasions involved in this too. So, but the point
Right.
simply
Oh yeah. Yeah.
is that we have had a situation where the Justice Department clearly has been trying to do what they can to protect Donald Trump from this. They haven't been able to keep everything secret, but they're doing a pretty good job of trying to cover it up. And so we need to talk about that. So first thing I want to say, Michael, is that
Yeah.
you know, and I don't want to just talk about Trump, but because we have others involved. But you know, he has had 24 accusations of sexual impropriety over the
Right.
years. And we just seem to continue to live in a context where we don't believe women.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
and and I'm not saying, and we do know that at times, yes, there is somebody who accuses some guy of sexual assault, and it's not true. That comes out periodically. But the vast majority of women, that's just not something they're going to lie about, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, you're just not going to lie about that. And when you've got 24 people, by the way, I know this from our own sports history here in Cleveland because we
Right.
drafted a quarterback, he who shall
Hmm.
not be named,
Yes.
who had over 24. I mean, I think we're getting close to 36 now.
Yeah.
Accusations of sexual assault, and he
Yeah.
continues to deny that anything. So I'm sorry, th two and a half dozen women have not conspired against you to ruin your career. That's not the way it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And so we've got these 24 women. We don't believe them. It's almost as if until we absolutely see his name in the Epstein files and it's corroborated, we'll believe it. But until then, we just are in denial about it. And this is the thing
Yeah.
that is just for me at times just so galling that
Mm.
women continue. They in ancient Judaism, you had to have two witnesses to corroborate a
Right.
testimony in a court of law, but they couldn't be women. They were not
Right.
considered reliable. Well, we don't actually believe that and codify that into law anymore, but functionally, often that's what happens.
Right. Right.
That the women come forward and they're made to be, if indeed something happened, they're made to be the perpetrators,
Right.
or they somehow brought this on themselves. And it's really,
Right.
frankly, Michael, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's a time-honored tradition, isn't it?
Yep.
Uh, it's and I do think there is positive change, incremental, slow, but positive change towards the good. And I think that the persistence and the what's the word I'm trying? Yeah, persistence is the best word for going after this Epstein files, is a move in the good direction.
Yes.
If we can keep the pressure on, it creates and these people are exposed. It creates a deterrent going forward in the future to leave these things unanswered and people unaccountable simply encourages more of the same in the future. And I think that has to be one of the key pieces.
Right. And that is good news, and that this thing we no longer really can sweep it under the rug once word gets out. There's too much on the global stage of information and sources that we can't let do it. And to give a contrast, was in the 1960s when John F. Kennedy was president. I mean,
Right,
he was a serial adulterer,
right,
and he was, he also, because of the way power works, I mean, he was a sexual assaulter,
yeah,
and people in the media knew it, but nobody reported on it, right?
right,
And
right,
so it is different today, and so that's
yeah,
good news. So we need to say that, okay? But still,
right.
you know,
Yes,
um,
it's not things have gotten. What's the line from Bob Dylan? He says, "I feel pretty good, but I could feel a whole lot better."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's things things have improved. They could improve a whole lot more.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
yes, definitely.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And you know what's real interesting about this is the international. I mean, Prince Andrew, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in a boatload of trouble. He's got everything stripped from royal titles. He's not even allowed to live in the royal whatever place that he was banished to.
Right.
And he may very well be prosecuted. I mean, and we've got other people in other places in other countries who have had to step down. And by the way, I think that is good news for the United States because who knows what comes out? Who
Right.
knows, Prince Andrew, to save some of his skin, who knows what he's going to say, what he knows.
Yes. Right.
And
Yeah.
then others as well. So, I mean, first of all, I mean, Donald Trump is, I mean, I understand that you're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But the court of public opinion is a little different, and I think
Right.
anyone who denies that Donald Trump, I mean, I we're not even getting to the disgusting details, but some of the women who have brought accusations against him of things he did to them when they were
Right.
13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just disgusting. And they're not, I mean, they're not making this stuff up. So is Donald Trump in the Epstein files? Yes, we know that. Is he guilty of sexual crimes? Yes. I mean, and
Yeah.
at one point the truth will come out. My point about that is to say that if I were Donald Trump, I'd be really worried about investigations from other nations. France is one country that's
Yeah.
really taken this seriously. And since Donald Trump has not done anything to ingratiate himself with our allies,
Hardly.
they don't really have an incentive to hide anything, do they?
Yes, in fact, quite to the contrary, they've got
Yeah.
all sorts of incentive
Yeah.
to not shield him. Yeah, I forget where it's going to go there with that, but the cover up is never going to be complete, I don't think, because it isn't just what the Department of Justice has. There are
Exactly right.
the Jeffrey Epstein Foundation, which has all of his materials. They have this stuff. They know what's there. There are security people who have copies of this files independent of the Department of Justice. They know what's been redacted. They know what pieces haven't been shared, that type of thing. So it's not like the Department of Justice has complete control over this and complete control over the information. They can run interference and they can try to slow walk this stuff. But I do think that eventually a lot of this stuff is going to come out. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
how quickly and are there going to be the pieces in place to hold people accountable. That's what the public pressure has to be on
Yeah.
is transparency and then justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all know that over the years, Washington, D.C. has been a sieve of leaks, and so
Yes.
it's not like somebody's not going to leak something. I mean, the Justice Department may have gone after firing people that they felt did Donald Trump wrong, but you can't get everybody,
Right.
and so who knows what happens. By the way, speaking of this, yesterday I just read this story came out yesterday that there one of our representatives from Virginia. I can't think of her name now. She's a Democrat, but she was in a closed door meeting with Richard Kahn, who was the
Yes.
accountant for Jeffrey Epstein. And
Right.
basically, she came out and she said she couldn't go into details, but the Epstein estate, while he was living, before he
Right.
was in jail, that they made a settlement payoff with one of Donald Trump's accusers.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, one of your
Yes.
things, let's say one other thing real quick. This is, I'm not the first one to mention this. We've seen people
Yeah.
say this. Donald Trump sues everybody over the years.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know that, right? If you
Yes.
say
Right.
something in public that he thinks you've damaged his reputation, he's going to sue you. He sues everybody. He
For
has
ten
yet to
billion
sue
dollars. Yeah.
anybody. Yeah, he has yet to sue anybody who has
Yeah.
accused him of sexual assault. Now, why is
Right.
that, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Right.
you do, then everything comes out, right?
Right.
Evidence comes
Exactly.
out because people
Depositions and all
have
that
a
stuff.
right to defend themselves in
Yeah.
court. So
Yeah.
he has never sued anybody who has accused him. So I just
Yeah.
think that's interesting. I mean, that's not
Right.
again, that is not clear evidence, but it
Right.
certainly is circumstantial that
Oh,
he has
sure.
never gone after any of these persons who have accused him of this.
Right. Well, I mean, you were talking about MAGA early on in this, and so the idea that there's this great global pedophile ring run by Democrats and that type of thing, and part of the whole QAnon mythology is that Trump was the one who's going to go in there and defeat the
Yeah.
great Satan and clear out the swamp and expose all these people and so on. Okay, so I mean, he is set up with the perfect narrative, and if it's true that there's all these Democrats that are behind all this, I mean, think of the political
Yeah.
windfall he could have by outing all these people, by
Yeah.
exposing all this stuff. I mean, all the incentive is there for him to release it if that story is true.
Right. Right.
Nut. What
Right.
do we
I mean,
see?
if he wants to keep control of Congress in
Yeah,
November,
yeah,
this is all you got to
yeah,
do. Right. But it's
right.
not happening and it's a
What
hoax.
do
It's
we see?
now.
We see the
Yeah.
very opposite. We
We see
see
the
that
very
every
opposite.
attempt to
Yeah.
keep this hidden, we know already of him being found of guilty of sexual assault in civil court,
Right.
and the repeated stories, grab women by the that
Yep.
whole
Yep.
that we know his whole history.
Yeah.
You add two and two and two together, you begin to, it comes pretty close, although you can't point to a specific case that where it has been verified that this thing happened
Yeah.
that was inappropriate,
Yeah.
but it doesn't take connecting too many dots to
No.
understand what's
No, you
going
sure
on here.
don't.
Yeah.
And you know what
Yeah.
really also bothers me? Let's talk about the voters. You know,
Yeah.
this information, Trump says, he says it. This is before he's president the first time.
Yeah.
When he owned Miss America or Miss Teen USA or whatever it was, and he would go back where in the rooms where these women were dressing, and because he owned it,
Right.
he could do that in these and these. I mean, he's talking about teenagers. I
Right.
mean, the ick factor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Any father, any mother hearing
Yeah.
this should have
Yeah.
basically said, "No way,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And yet, I mean, he says it. It's not that somebody said he did
Yeah.
it. He
Not
says it.
salacious gossip.
And and and
Yeah.
one of the things maybe we should have this conversation in another episode, Michael. But boy, the moral bar is so low when it comes to politicians and what we expect,
Yeah. Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
it's the moral bar is touching the ground, frankly. There's no room to get under it. We have
Yeah.
so lowered the moral bar for our
Yeah.
politicians. I've said before, we wouldn't, if Donald Trump were our next door neighbor, we wouldn't trust him. We wouldn't like him. We would tell our kids to stay away from him. We wouldn't give him
Right.
a job. I mean,
Yeah.
if we knew him, right?
Yeah.
And yet, boy,
Right.
somehow we'll vote for him for president.
Right.
Um, there really is and there's all kinds of psychology behind this, but there really is just a strangeness to this that people can't
Yeah.
see. And so again, that gets back to the Epstein files that Trump has said things himself
Right.
on when it comes to sexuality and women that
Right.
should have been a disqualifier right from the beginning, and it never was.
Yeah. I'll go back to something you were saying there a second ago, and I
Yeah.
remember this 10 years ago that there have been, I don't know if it was Pew or Gallup or whoever, anyway, one of these companies that does consistent polling across society over a period of years. And I think it was 2014. They asked the question, Does moral character matter in terms of a leader? And they had it broken down by all these demographic groups.
Yeah.
And the people who said that moral character mattered the most, that had the highest percentage of people saying that, were evangelical Christians in
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
The same poll taken, and I think it was just 2 years later, they were near the bottom
Yeah.
of that. In a 2 year time, they switched from that. And I heard a guy recently talking about the Bible talks about the person who finds the pearl, in the field, the pearl of great price,
Yeah.
and they goes and sells everything he has in order to get that field. Um, it says Jesus is telling that parable in the sense that the kingdom of God and God is the great price. That's the pearl
Right.
that he is intimating that you go sell everything for. Well, it turns out for many of these people that were evangelicals, it wasn't God.
No,
It was cultural dominance. It was cultural power. It was that is the pearl of great price that they've sold everything
that's
for,
a
including their
great,
moral commitment, their faith in everything to
that's
get
a,
that thing.
yeah,
So they don't
that's a
care.
great, yeah, that's a great, do you have that article?
It was actually a YouTube video. I see if I could find
If
that.
you find it, pass it to me because we'll
Yeah.
put it in the description. So if
Okay.
people want to watch that, because that's exactly true.
Yeah.
And I made a relative of mine angry
Yeah.
uh, because I said to her that, uh, evangelical Christians right now, this was in the first term,
Right.
Trump's first term sound just like liberals did about Bill Clinton in
Yeah.
the
Right.
90s when his sexual
Yeah. Right.
shenanigans. So I said, obviously the liberals were right, and you've been convinced. So you become
Yeah.
a good liberal on this.
That's right.
Except
Yeah.
it didn't
Right.
go
Yeah.
over well, but it's all right. I mean, you know, that's the other thing. The other thing about this that bothers me in our partisan times is
Mhm.
this really isn't about holding men accountable. This is about winning and getting at the other
Right.
side.
Right.
So I had somebody say to me on social media and I was posting on the Epstein Files and Trump, and he said, "Well, Clinton's could be in the Epstein Files." To which I said, "Okay."
Yeah. They sure could.
Now, first of all, I've never been a big fan of Bill Clinton, if you want to
Yeah.
know the truth
Exactly.
of that. I mean, I'm not a huge fan.
Exactly. Yeah.
But even if I was, if he's in the
Yeah.
files and he did something he shouldn't have, he should be held accountable. This is not
Yeah.
about winning or
Right.
owning the libs or owning the conservatives. This is about
Yes.
justice. This is, I
Yeah.
mean, and so I don't really care what their political affiliation is. If
Right.
if they are guilty, they must be held accountable.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It does. The issue is we want the truth. We want the bright light to shine on the truth. Is consequences, regardless
Yeah.
of their party connections or what their connections are. So yeah. Exactly.
So let's talk about because let's talk a little bit because we've talked about people running interference here for Trump and all of this. Uh, but at the same time, I think there are a lot of not there. I continue to say the MAGA movement's smaller than it's ever been.
Yeah.
You don't have, it's not like what you had in 2016.
No.
You've had people who have jumped ship,
Yeah.
either reluctantly or whether because they're discouraged, whatever it might be. And I
Right.
think that there are people who have voted for Trump who are looking at this and saying, this is not acceptable, this is not right.
Yeah.
So, um, I think that's there.
Yeah.
So I do think making the assumption that the midterms in November will be free and fair.
Yeah.
I,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think the Republicans are going to be able to do as much damage as they think, but
Yes.
I still
Vigilance.
I'm
Vigilance.
still knowing they're going to put their thumb on the scale.
They're going to try. Yep.
Assuming that, I think the Epstein files is one of several factors that will uh, either have the Republicans lose both houses, which would,
Right.
you um, I'd be very disappointed in these times if they kept one. That would not, um, encourage me on the American voter.
Yeah,
But
right. Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think the reality is that it's doing great damage. And maybe that's another thing you talked positively about, they
yeah,
can't make this go away. That's another
right.
positive thing, that this
Yeah,
really is going to do some damage, if not
right.
already.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, diverting over to the political front right now, I think the Epstein Files, I think the economy, and possibly now this engagement with Iran. I
Yeah,
think all three of those are things that give some of the MAGA voters pause
yeah,
about what's going on. I think those three issues. Um, I, I would very much like for people to simply come to the realization about the moral depravity of the leader that we have in power, and that be their reason. But unfortunately, that's just not the way society works.
yeah,
So we've got to keep vigilant at keeping the truth out there, and keep speaking that voice of truth, even if people aren't fully buying into it. There's the speaking truth to power, speaking what the truth is, and then there's also the tactical political aspects of
yeah,
getting people that are corrupt out of
yeah,
positions of power. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a messy
yeah.
game.
And that brings us to, let's have a little conversation about that with scripture, because the Bible warns about wealth and power. And the
Yes,
Bible is always want to tell people that for the most part, there are a few exceptions perhaps, but for the most part, the Bible is written not by the oppressors, but the oppressed,
right.
and is written by the people on the other side of
Yeah,
Pharaoh or Caesar or the king.
right.
And of course, there's an awful lot of warning about wealth. Uh, you know, uh, Paul says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Hmm.
And you get Mary's song, where now that the Messiah is coming, the rich are going to be thrown down, the poor are going to be, the rich are going to go away empty, the rulers will be cast from their thrones. So there's just a lot of warning in the Bible about wealth and power. And yet it seems in our context, and I'll speak for myself too, because I was raised, I mean, I was raised in the Christian church. I was raised in a good home, faithful home, that we were
Yeah,
faithful. But wealth and power was just kind of assumed to be the norm, kind of.
yeah.
And that's what you
Okay.
wanted to do. You wanted to grow up and make a
Right,
lot of money. You wanted to
right.
grow up and be president. We were told when we were kids, Michael, anybody can grow up to be president.
Yeah.
Well, in the last 10 years, we've seen that that is true.
Indeed true.
Uh, but there were never, nobody stood up and quoted Mary in the
Right.
Magnificat. And
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
did that. So
Yeah.
what's up that we as the church in America, and I mean this applies to the West in general and to other places, but obviously this
Yeah.
is our context. What's about the church in America that these two huge themes just are not emphasized?
Yeah. I mean, going all the way back to the Old Testament, the thing about give us a king, give us a king.
Yeah.
There is a desire, I think, on the part, I don't know if it's a innate human thing or what it is, but a desire to have somebody be in control.
Yeah.
That somebody can fix stuff for us and get us the good things. And just speaking from a personal standpoint, I've in not too many years past, I might call myself conservative or conservative leaning.
Yeah.
But one of the key things for me about being conservative was decentralized power,
Yes.
checks and balances, power
Yes.
distributed across states, across federal government, across local government,
Yes.
courts independent of legislation. Having that decentralized power, because the natural gravitation is the more centralized things are, the more it's inclined to draw people that have wealth and power into taking control of those things, because then they can enact their agenda. If
Right.
things are decentralized and dispersed, subsidiarity is the term that's often used for this,
Yeah.
it's much more difficult to gain control over the whole system. It's certainly
Yes.
not quickly at all. And I think that that's as bad as things are for our country right now and the problems we're having. I think it has shown the genius of the design of
Yes.
our system, that it is so difficult to get control
Yes.
over the whole apparatus.
Yes. And
And
I think,
that's
yeah.
the good of it. there is never going to be a world where the wealthy don't, to some degree, live at a different level than the rest of us. That they can get away with things and do things that the rest of us can't get away with.
Yeah.
Because it can't be perfect, doesn't mean it can't be functional.
Yeah.
And I've often, people talk about, you talk about somebody who's dysfunctional, and they'll raise up, well, see, that person isn't perfect either. Well, I didn't say the opposite of dysfunctional was perfect. It's
Yeah.
functional. And so I think it's a continuous battle to have a functional society where the wealthy and the powerful are held accountable.
Yeah.
We have improved over generations, over recent generations of humanity, I think, in moving towards that. We have so much more to go. But
Yeah.
I think that and that's coming back to the Epstein files. I think this is an important episode in pressing that. And as we go through this and we see how difficult it is in trying to hold accountable, I think we learn lessons about what new legislation maybe do we
Right.
need? What other guardrails do we need? What societal practices need to change?
Yeah.
What the unmasking is not just to hold those accountable who did wrong, but to learn about what we can do in terms of holding people accountable beforehand in
Yeah.
the future. And so I don't know what those specific lessons will be, but I think that's another reason for why we cannot be. We have to remain vigilant on the Epstein files. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think uh I was, in fact, I've had Carol and I have these conversations, and how many times I have said to her that Trump wants to do something, some kind of overreach, take over something. And I'll say, traditional conservatives would be just pulling their hair out, right?
Yes, they would.
Because this is
Yes,
not conservatism.
it's not
It's
conservative.
not
Yeah.
conservatism. It was
Yeah.
what it had something to do with something in the grocery stores or wanting to do something. And I said, and this is Republicans, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Conservatives, true conservatives would have said that is not your place, right?
Yes.
Let the
Yep.
markets work. Oh, it had to
There
do
you
with
go.
scanners in grocery stores.
Okay.
And somebody wanted to make a law saying that, you had to have so many people on duty, so many cashiers on duty to help.
Oh,
And if for
okay.
every two self checkouts you had open, you had to have at least one. And I said, conservatives would have said, let these businesses work this out.
Right.
They want to
Yeah.
make money. So they're
Right.
and they're worried about. I guess the issue was the worry about shoplifting and
Okay. Okay.
going through these ca cashierless checkouts. And I
Right.
said, let the business solve that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
What
want to
they're
make money. They're going to work on it. This is not for
right.
government to step in. And other places
Right.
where government ought to be stepping in, these
Yeah.
authoritarians are not doing it because it enriches them to not
Right.
do it.
Right.
Right?
Well,
This
and
just boy, it's just upside down and goofy.
it's just, I mean, one of the whole thing about tariffs is probably the biggest example of nuttiness compared to what conservative used to mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea was the conservatives wanted to erase tariffs, erase subsidies, all that kind of stuff. Let the market determine, where it's going to go. And I need to qualify that I don't think it's all one thing or the other.
Right.
My point is not that. I think this is me speaking, that I think the default should be towards the idea of local control and local
Right.
decision making. But there are many, many good reasons for why not everything can be done that way.
Right.
There are things that need to be done at that
Right.
level. But the propensity to see the solution to every problem is a federal government mandate, or the state taking control of markets, that kind of thing, or other aspects of life. Uh, that is what ends up concentrating power in the government, and that's what then draws ne'er do wells into those
Yeah.
positions, because when they see that kind of centralized power, they want it.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and yeah,
And in the meantime, by the way, what happens when we give these people control, or we just turn a blind eye? Real people with no power are hurt. And
yes,
I mean,
right,
how many women
yeah,
who are women now, but were
right, right,
teenagers back then, whose lives were just destroyed by Jeffrey Epstein and his wealthy buddies. And how many women are there who just haven't even come forward
Right.
because they're
Oh yeah.
scared to
Oh
death?
yeah.
And
Exactly.
I mean, it may be the case that the true extent of this is never known, will never be
Right.
known completely. I will, by
It
the
won't.
way, and you and I think you'll agree with this. I mean, the truth is going to come out,
Yes. Right.
whether it comes out uh, in Trump's lifetime, which I would certainly like to see.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
But the reality is, the truth will come out. A decade from now, we
Yeah.
will know.
Right.
Um, and so, these things, it just happens that way.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I agree. I think eventually this will come out. The information is distributed through too many different places for
Yeah.
it to be ultimately squelched forever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is also, by the way, when authoritarians try to hide these things, whether it's the Epstein files or other stuff, like it's like Trump's war on the telling of the story of slavery and wanting to take down displays at the national parks
Yeah.
and everything. He can't, I mean, we have a
You-
global information network,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
And and it's just not going to be squelched.
Right.
Um,
Right.
now I'm not saying that therefore it's okay. I think what Trump is doing is wrong on this, but the reality is you just can no longer hide these things. You can no longer
Right.
just tell a story the way you want to tell it. There's
Right.
going to be dissenting voices now. I mean, there were
Yeah.
dissenting voices in the past, but they could be squelched. Not
Yeah.
anymore. Not
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. There are places even today in times where that can be relatively successful for a while, in some corners of the world, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult, and certainly in Western societies, it's just impossible. The information is too distributed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
there's too much of it in the hands of private control. I was in
yeah.
Birmingham
Right.
in January, Birmingham, Alabama, and
Hmm.
they have the legacy museums there. And I don't know if you've heard of them, but they basically are museums that tell the story of slavery.
Right.
And Carol and I went one morning, and it was a Saturday, so they closed at noon, so we did not have enough time to see everything. But oh my gosh, it was harrowing
Yeah.
to go through
Yeah.
that and to read the stories. And Donald Trump's not going to close that down.
Yep.
It's not going to happen, right?
Right. Right.
And so this stuff is out there, and there's plenty of
Right.
places like that. But
Right.
so we just keep telling the stories. Sometimes I have people who will message me on social media, and they'll say, I'm 79 years old and I want to do something, but I can't get out and protest and this or that and the other. I
Yeah.
say, you're on Facebook. Just tell the stories.
Yeah.
Just link to the stories. You find a
Yeah.
story about what's happening, just link to it. You don't have to get in commentary and you don't have to be
Yeah.
snarky
Right.
like I am when I post. You
Right.
just
Right.
post the story and
Yeah.
get it out there because you don't know who reads it and you don't know
Right.
who. So I mean the most important thing is to just tell the story. Tell the
I would
stories of what's happening.
tell the stories of what's happening. And the other thing I would add is, as you see people either in social media or in real life or whatever that are doing positive things that you identify with, that you see that are good, tell them,
Yeah.
encourage them.
Yeah.
Say, give them support, if even just a verbal, thank
Yep.
you, I appreciate what you're doing, and this spoke so much to me. Or people that you see in your city government or nonprofit organizations that are doing good things, encourage others,
Yeah.
encourage those that are doing good.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people doing that sometimes wonder if they matter. They wonder if it's worth it. Does this count for anything? That word of encouragement can
Yeah.
sometimes go a big way too. But
Yeah.
yeah, tell the stories, encourage.
Yeah. Tell the stories and
If
tell the stories of these women when they come out.
Yep.
These women who were children, frankly, at the time.
Yeah.
Tell their stories so that people know what exactly happened. And with the other thing is, again, that if we tell those stories, it encourages other women who
There you go.
perhaps to tell their stories. So, One of
Right.
the things that I learned as a pastor is that sometimes people have had horrendous experiences that they will not share publicly for various reasons.
Right.
But if they trust you as an individual, they'll tell you just
Right.
because they have to tell somebody.
Yes.
And
Right.
they don't want you to spread it around. It's got to be
Right.
confidential. But they've been in such pain over what has happened to them that they
Yes.
just have to tell someone. It's just kind of like, there's pressure building up and they just got to get it out.
Right.
And so you've had women keeping these stories for years, and maybe if enough tell the stories, they'll feel comfortable enough to come forward.
Yeah. They can bring it into the light and at least find healing for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is very important that they find healing
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to say about this?
No, I just think that we see so much of what's happening in the world with the Trump administration doing these various things. It's all trying to dangle shiny objects in our face to
Yeah.
distract
Yeah.
from this. It's clear to me that this is a thing that's we don't know the specifics of exactly how he's connected in all of this. That has yet to come out, but we know that he is.
Yeah.
And I think that not letting up on the pressure, deal with the issues that he keeps raising as we need to, but keep coming back to that we're not going away, that the truth needs to come out. And I for the on behalf of these women who have suffered and have had the courage to come forward and do the right thing, we need to be vigilant and relentless in seeking the truth for them as well.
Yeah,
You know?
and the real scary thing about it too, and we've seen this already, but it's not over, is that he will burn things to the ground to
Yeah. Right.
deflect from this.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's and then the other thing is he's got plenty of like-minded broken minions around him to
Oh, good Lord. Yes.
carry it out. And so this is sad. It's sad and tragic. People are already hurting. People have died because of this. But we must be
Right.
diligent and keep on going. And you're right about that. We need
Yeah.
to not give up. As difficult as it is, and one other thing in this time, let me say one other thing. I'm doing a webinar. I'm teaching a webinar in Bonhoeffer right now. It's really been
Ah,
great.
okay.
It's been great. I've got like 60 some people signed up for it. So one of the things I said the other night was that when you read the life of Bonhoeffer, of course, Bonhoeffer is involved with the resistance.
Right.
He's doing his best to critique the Nazis and everything. And so, I mean, his life is upended, right? His life is turned
Right.
upside down. What he had planned for his life was not going
Yeah.
to happen. And
Yeah.
even when he's in prison, you know what he's doing? He's writing.
Yeah. Right.
He's writing his ethics in prison, and he
Yeah.
didn't finish it. But if you see the book, that what he did write, I mean, it's a
Yeah.
big book, and it's like,
Yeah.
how much bigger would it have been had he lived, right?
That's best to read it two paragraphs at a time.
Yes, he did not allow what was happening in Nazi
Right.
Germany. He was involved. He was involved. His
Right.
life indeed was affected, but there were
Right.
certain things he was going to keep doing. So I want to say to
Right.
people in this time, as difficult as
Yeah.
it is, as frustrating it is, keep doing what you can do to resist, but
Yes.
don't allow it to keep you from planting your garden, and
Preach. Preach.
don't
Yep.
allow it to keep you from that writing project, and don't
Yeah.
allow it to keep you from whatever it is that gives you peace and what gives you a sense of being grounded.
Meaning and
Don't
joy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't let them do that to you, because if you let them, then they win on that front too, and we can't
There
let
you
that
go.
happen. Yeah.
Preach it. Preach it. Preach it.
All
Yep.
right. So
I
now
couldn't
I
say it
can't
better.
preach. If I do, I have to take an offering. So
All
can't
right.
do that. All right, Michael. Thank you.
All
This has
right.
been a good conversation. All right, friends.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, like us or subscribe to us. It's free. If you are listening on podcast, please follow us or whatever it is that the podcast lets you do. We would appreciate that very much. So, friends, thank you for joining us. I'm Alan Bevere, and this is Faith Seeking Understanding and the patron saint of Faith Seeking Understanding. is Anselm of Canterbury, who said, I do not understand in order to believe, but I believe in order to understand. So, friends, keep seeking.